Alright, hi, hello. Patch 4, Blessings of the Omnissiah, released a few days ago, and we're finally to the point where, if this had been the state Darktide had initially launched in, there probably would not have been months of review bombing and internet rage. Yeah, it took 3 months to get here, not ideal. Again, some of that backlash was unwarranted and completely over the top. Reddit and forums have a bad habit of devolving into these circle jerks where people try to one-up each other on how badly a developer ruined their lives and destroyed their families. I literally saw people try and compare bugs and optimization issues to physical and emotional abuse that caused their parents to divorce. Like, if you want to lose the plot and immediately have people disregard your arguments, and that kind of stuff gets upvoted, which it does on the subreddit, that kind of ridiculous hyperbole is a perfect example of how to do it. But as we well know by now, a majority of the criticism was justified and very reasonable, especially considering how many lessons were, again, not learned in the years Fat Shark had to take feedback on board. And it sometimes just feels like the definition of insanity, to make literally the exact same mistakes in the fundamental design elements of a game, and then expect a different result from the community. When we've explicitly told Fat Shark before, hey, we don't really like this, think about changing it moving forward, and then they have to scramble to change it after launch, and we lose 3 months of dev time to undo silly stuff. Anyway, I don't want to delve too far into it right now. The patch is good. Say what you want about it, but I've created more weapons in the past 72 hours that I enjoy and actively want to use than I had in the previous 3 months combined. System is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a lot better now, and it feels like we're caught up, as it were, that we can now truly move forward with their original intent for supporting Darktide, whatever that means. That's still kind of up in the air, right? One thing I do know is we need to start seeing those live service elements. New bosses like the Chaos Spawn, new maps, new weapons, new areas of the world, and better variety in playing spaces in general. Because while the grungy Underhive and the Deserts of Atoma Prime were a fine jump-off point, there's not a whole lot of diversity right now when it comes to visuals and biomes. Certainly one element that Vermintide did a better job with, straight from the jump, giving each run its own unique visual style and flair. Into the Nest versus Athelian Louis, Skittergate versus Hail Scourge, a lot of visual differences between those maps. Not so much in Darktide. I think there's more replayability there in Vermintide at the moment, and it's something I hope can be addressed moderately quickly with future maps moving forward as we head into the upper levels and presumably into the rumored second Hive City. Regardless, the game feels more rewarding to play right now. I can much more easily create, if not the perfect weapon, then at least one that will be fun and synergize with my builds to a much higher degree, and so I have felt more inclined to play Darktide recently. Speaking of high degrees, today's video will be focused on the Flamer. Brother, get the heavy Flamer. Well, that and the Mark 9 heavy sword is quickly becoming one of my favorite weapons in the game. So here's the talent selection. I'm not going to spend much time running through my reasoning here. There's multiple rows where you can choose basically anything and make it work well, but I've described Zealot talents before. I think people at this point have a general idea of how to build their characters the way they want them. But the weapons themselves are where things start getting interesting, and so let's shift on over to that. The Mark 9 Heavy Sword is a legit competitor to the Antax now for Zealot. It may not be explicitly better, but even if you don't think it is super ready for even high-intensity damnation. This is not a god roll. I think a god roll would probably have tier 4 Headtaker and tier 4 Rampage instead of Deathblow, but it is real nice, and they made the special attack substantially better versus armor. So you have an actual tool versus Carapace, which you didn't really have before. As for the Flamer, I don't think it needed a buff. Honestly, it's always been the best mixed horde clear in the game, probably even better than Bolter in that role, for when you're about to be overwhelmed by Poxwalkers, mixed with Crushers, mixed with Maniacs, and you need everything on screen to just die. I guess Bolter's better if you just fired that 15 shots, but after that you need to reload. With the Flamer, you got more sustained DPS, and Fat Shark super buffed Blaze Away. Showstopper is fun and memey. In my opinion, it's not that great, but I've had a couple fun kill feeds from it. But 50% extra power after firing for a while from Blaze Away ensures that you become the John Darktide, the most zealous zealot on the Cinder. And if you really want to melt armor like Crushers, just dash in first with your ult. It essentially lowers the armor value of whatever you're shooting into, makes them way easier to kill. So in these gameplays, you'll see me do that a lot when I'm about to be overrun by mixed hordes. Just press F and just burn everything. Entire screen melts, kill feeds are hilarious. It's really good. It's honestly one of the best and most satisfying weapons to take into high intensity runs. But of course, it has the obvious weakness of not dealing with spread out shooters as well as auto guns, las guns, what have you. So if you're on Enclave and Boros or whatever other map that's really wide open, and especially if you're not doing high intensity, may not be the best choice. But if you're in those really choke pointy maps, you're gonna burn everything that comes in front of you. And if you're really worried about its performance, well, there are lots of ways to mitigate that one downside. Good positioning, forcing enemy shooters to funnel into a choke point, well-timed use of your dashes to get in and melee. Remember, you're Zealot. First and foremost, you should probably be meleeing if you have a good melee weapon. CQB is where Zealot thrives, so just because your Flamer can't literally kill every single thing in the game, and you can't just AFK mindlessly left-click with that thing, well, it's alright. You are going to get into melee, and you're going to be good at that too. So learn how to sprint, learn how to slide, learn how to maneuver in general, and then just start slicing people up with your heavy sword or Antax, and you're going to be having a good time. It also has disgusting DPS against bosses. Again, dash in and let it rip, whether it's a Beast of Nurgle, whether it is a Plague Ogryn, it is going to melt. It's really fun. So I'm going to show you a bunch of gameplay today, a lot of different scenarios with pubs, all in the highest difficulty, most of them high intensity modifier, but I think maybe a few standard runs in there as well. And I'll try and walk you through my thought process of the plays where it really matters. Enjoy the heavy sword. Enjoyed the Flamer, lots of cool moments with both. Got a last pistol game coming with Veteran as well. We'll be showing off a lot of different weapons. I am having fun with Darktide right now, so you'll be seeing more of it soon on the channel. See you all in the next one. Peace out. Yeah, the one downside from this patch for heavy sword enjoyers is that special attack will no longer stagger Berserkers, Ragers. A bit unfortunate, but I don't think it's going to stay that way. I think they're going to revisit that at some point. That's what Hedge said anyway. I'm not sure you want to use this special attack versus Maniacs anymore. Definitely want to use it against Carapace. Probably exclusively against Carapace. And Flak.
Sinners! The heretics are dug in!
That's pretty fun. I kind of like that. Like a lot.
Another soul delivered unto judgment.
I stopped running Flamer for a while. Not because it was bad or anything. I mean, it's always been good, but this Blaze Away talent is... I mean, unless someone knows something about it that I don't, that it's like not working properly or something, which I don't think is the case. That plus 50%, if it's working the way it's supposed to,
the means of death unto his servant.
that's wild. I mean, there's literally no target you can't kill with a Flamer
Needed Templar, be healed.
if you ult in.
Thy corruption was no shield. Faster! Kill it from
Come out that door.
Go there! That's the trapper done! Faster! Come on, soldier! Veteran! On your feet! Just like a switch!
Oh, here we go.
I am unstoppable! Got a present for you! Forgive me, beneficent Emperor, that I ever doubted!
Yeah, so I didn't kill that Crusher, but I did like 90% of his health. It's still not like incredible versus Carapace, obviously. Because I mean, if you ever gone to Psychonium and like seen how much damage you do to Carapace without ulting, it's not super impressive. I mean, it actually does nothing to them unless you ult. But the fact that you can deal with Carapace in a mixed horde like this and just everything dies regardless, like... Bulwarks can still be an issue too. They can block the flame because the hitbox on their shield is super wonky, but... These are my favorite flamer moments. Horde just has to run down one tiny little choke point. The team's getting wrecked.
I feel another headshot coming on.
The one thing I will say, you don't want to get so... Oh, there's something. That was cool. You don't want to get so single-minded with the flamer that you're not actually helping your team, right? Sometimes you gotta go into melee like this. Right now, my team just needs space, so I think we're gonna chill on the flamer for a bit. Maybe go ahead. Oh, Showstopper just procced. I don't know if that's the reason I got all those kills, but everything was on the kill feed at once, so maybe. I think so. That was cool. Yeah, again, I wouldn't say Showstopper is like the go-to perk, right? It's kind of a meme, I think. But I guess I mean, I don't know how much damage it does. But this seems okay. I do have a God Roll Antax, but I've already shown how that weapon works. I finally graduated from my 29% damage roll. I literally have like best in slot Antax basically, except for not having tier 4 blessings. But Head Taker, Brutal Momentum, really good stat rolls. But this heavy sword seems like a real nice alternative. If for no other reason than just variety is the spice of life. You don't want to run the axe all the time. Obviously, we play Eviscerator and Thunderhammer too. We'll do videos for those at some point. Look at that cleave, man. The dodge dancing, the cleaving. You can light it. I mean, you don't have to just do charge attacks, obviously. You can do light attack spam on hordes as well. It's a beauty. And I actually really like it too because you have to think a little bit about your combos on... I mean, with a horde, you can just light attack or charge attack spam. Either one, really. Both work well. But like when Carapace comes out, you got a special attack with it, and you can work in different kind of combos for different situations, which is fun. Which there's not a whole lot of that with the Antac. You kind of just left click spam the whole time. This is just me. Don't mind me, just burninating the countryside. Burninating the peasants. They call me Trogdor. A lot of ammo, though. So, sword it is. It's so good. my teammates help. It's getting a little bit spicy. Alright, let's get out of here. Disgusting. You have a potential problem here, though. Man, why is he running from me? Oh, this is awkward. Oh, this should bar him out.
Today, my companions, for the golden throne.
Leave me alone.
Don't ye dare leave me here. Rise,
Fuck, I'm literally picking you up. What are you talking about?
He provides the means of death unto his servant. Target! The missionaries Galaxia must have illuminated some strange world with the knowledge of the Montera.
We're going in, boys.
With me, pilgrims! Our way lies in darkness!
Right, that was complete overkill, but it was worth. It looked cool. This choke point up here is actually fantastic. So, I mean, obviously very open area. You don't want to really run in and try to force the flamer here. You want to have a teammate aggro stuff and bring it all into this area. Which, I mean, even if you don't have a flamer, is usually a good idea. Like, when things are grouped up, instead of spread out, it's usually better for your team. But I don't have a way to aggro those things, so I need to aggro them, please. You get munched on by a doggo. Yeah, all they have to do is just shoot everything in that room over there, and they'll come up. Oh, that's not fun. Please don't do that again, Cypher. Thank you. Yeah, everything's coming now.
You're tougher than this.
And it's upward, so I mean, the really nice thing about high intensity games is the hordes will literally pull all the ambient stuff too, and then you get to do things like this. I'm not getting showstopper procs very often. It's only 10% chance. It could actually probably be really good if there's a higher chance. I just don't know if it's. I just really don't know how much damage it does. There you go. I've been stuck at 119 for the longest time. It was easy enough. Literally 119 out of 120. I imagine that was with the flamer too, or maybe purgation staff. Finally got that penance.
We have a job to do. Let's get out there and carking do it.
Readying bombardment.
Engaging focus fire. Neutralized. You sanction. We've neutralized the bomber.
Alright, it's gonna get interesting. Watch this damage. It'll take a second to stack up. That's pretty good. He's still burning. Yeah, on net instead of going for the trapper kill. I'm not always great about that, but
My prayers are answered. Holy ammunition.
they take corruption damage if they're netted. And they also get their asses beat when they're on the ground. So you gotta get that net first usually, and then worry about the special. I don't know where it is. I think it's above us.
I shall survive you. I am not afraid. Then why mention it?
True.
See how it burns. Must die! It must!
That's so mean.
How